Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is Straight Out of the Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we have episode 4 of the Utah Jazz Association. And as you can see here, I'm going to trade Lou Williams for Luke Walton and a first-round pick. I'll explain that move in a moment. And now here's the trade that I was talking about last episode. It's Al Jefferson and a first-round pick for Danny Granger. I'm going to talk about that trade in just a moment as well, so please don't share your opinions in the comment section below just yet. I'm going to explain both moves before, but we do have a couple other things to get into. As you can see, we're going to be facing the Cleveland Cavaliers in this episode, so we actually get to face Mo Williams in his debut with his new team. I believe this trade was made right before this episode started. So anyway, I'm going to take the time to explain the moves for a sec. I'll explain the Mo Williams one first. At this point, all I was looking for out of Mo Williams was a first-round pick and an expiring contract, or just a first-round pick, because really the expiring contract wouldn't be needed at that point. But anyway, Luke Walton, I can't talk today. Luke Walton is an expiring contract, I do believe, and he is actually, you know, as much as people make fun of him, he's actually one of the smarter players I've seen play basketball over the last couple of years or so. Since I've started really getting into the sport, he plays very smart. He has a very high basketball IQ. His father is one of my favorite players of all time, probably one of the 5 or 10 best centers of all time, and he's a good shooter. And like I said, it's an expiring contract. Really, his role at this point is going to be a role player who we're going to say bye to at the end of the year, more than likely. Just because I wanted the expiring contract that will give me good cap relief when the year ends. Them got their first-round pick, and the Cavaliers are not a great team at this point, so that's looking like a lottery pick. Our pick is looking like it might be a high lottery pick, whereas the Cavs might be sort of maybe a top 10 or even top 5 for lucky type pick. So anyway, I'm not too concerned about the draft, though. For this year, what I'm really looking for is, well, it kind of depends, and what it depends on is the second trade that I'm going to be talking about, which is the Al Jefferson and the first-round pick for Danny Granger. Now, first of all, before you guys, if I have to give up the first-round pick, I'm more than likely not doing it, because 2014 is the draft that I really want to go for. I want to get Jabari Parker or Andrew Wiggins. However, if we do get Danny Granger, we won't really need Jabari Parker or Andrew Wiggins, but I think I could probably work around that deal and make it so that we don't actually have to give up that first-round pick, because Al Jefferson has a higher trade value than Danny Granger, and he's on an expiring contract, and they're like the same age or something. So, like, I don't see how we couldn't do that with that deal without the first-round pick. So don't worry about the first-round pick for now, and think about straight up Al Jefferson for Danny Granger. Now, this would solve our need for a wing. We need a good shooting wing. Danny Granger can shoot. He's a good shot creator. He was rumored to be on the market this past trade deadline due to the emergence of Paul George and Lance Stevenson. So I don't think that'd be a totally unrealistic deal. His contract is a little bit big, but it's only 2 years, so it'd be an expiring next year, which I would not be too concerned about. The contract is not something that bothers me one bit. This Jazz team already has tons of cap space, I should say, for this coming offseason, so I'm not going to be worried about Danny Granger's contract just yet. But I just kind of, it's up to you guys on this one, really. I think a lot of you might want to do the Danny Granger deal. If I don't do the Danny Granger deal, here's an idea of what I'm going to be trying to look for. Probably an athletic, fast break type of wing. Now, what Danny Granger would do is he would be a guy that I can give the ball to in a half-court set and tell him to make a play. He's not the best scorer in the world, but he is a shot creator. He can create his own shot. He can play, you know, with the ball in his hands in an isolation situation and score 2 points. So he's kind of like a poor man's Carmelo, and I say that in the loosest sense of the term, because they're, you know, on completely different levels of play or whatever, but they fit similar roles is what I'm trying to say. And Granger can play the 4 a little bit, which is good, so we can stretch the floor if we wanted to. So let me know what you guys think of getting Danny Granger for Al Jefferson. Like I said, that's a pretty realistic move considering Granger was out there on the market during this past trade deadline. But if I don't get Danny Granger and I don't get my kind of shot creator type guy, then what I want to get is another up-tempo player to go along with Eric Gordon. Now, it would probably be the shooting guard position, because if I don't get Danny Granger, I'm going to be going after the 2014 draft. I'm going to be going after Andrew Wiggins or Jabari Parker. I know that for a fact. I'm going to do whatever I can to try and trade for a lottery pick that year and attempt to get one of those guys. That's going to be, if I don't get Danny Granger, it's going to be one of them is who I'm going to get, really, for my small forward position. I thought about Kawhi Leonard in the past. Al Jefferson was rumored to go to San Antonio at this past trade deadline, but it looks like the offers were more for Steven Jackson and a pick than they were for Kawhi Leonard and Steven Jackson, because I think the Spurs are pretty high on Kawhi Leonard, as is the rest of the NBA. So what I'd be looking for is probably an up-tempo shooting guard, hopefully one who can stretch the floor, good defender, not the biggest deal. Eric Bledsoe's already a superb defender, so I can stick him on most wing players. Obviously, I can't stick him on like a 6'8" guy, but I can stick him on a 6'4" and under type of player, really. Maybe, I mean, I could probably stick him on Kobe if I really had to during the playoffs. So, anyway, yeah, I mean, so, you know, whether it's a good defender or not, it's whatever. What I'm really looking for is a guy who can stretch the floor a little bit, kind of have a John Wall, Bradley Beal type relationship, where if Eric Bledsoe is our John Wall, guy who's really good at driving to the lane, who can dunk, who can finish with athleticism, and he can clog up the lanes at times, which means that they're going to leave shooters out on the wings, and if I can get a good shooter for my shooting guard of the future, then that'd be a good idea. I don't see Alec Burks or Gordon Hayward ever becoming my solid starters for the future. I would love to keep them around as role players, but for now, at least, I don't see them being, you know, starting caliber players on a championship team. So, anyway, I would look to get some sort of shooting guard, you know, young, hopefully. And I've thought about Avery Bradley before, but it's really hard to do a deal with the Celtics because of their cap situation. They don't have any expiring contracts, really, and they don't have any cap space. So, obviously, couldn't do Al Jefferson for Avery Bradley straight up. I would have to take on probably, I don't even know his contract, quite frankly. So, anyway, yeah, let me know what you think of Danny Granger. You know, if not, I'll talk about some other options in tomorrow's episode. There's going to be an episode of this coming out tomorrow, and then Monday is going to be the trade deadline video. It's gonna consist of the trade deadline, obviously, and then probably the game after that. So, let me know what you guys think of Danny Granger. I can go either way on the move. I don't have a preference at this point. I like Danny Granger. I'm pretty good with him in 2K, quite frankly. So, he's like 30 years old, which means he's not the youngest, but he's not the oldest guy. He probably is in his prime or just exiting his prime, which I think is fine. You know, honestly, I'm not too concerned about his age. And I just think that it gives us our guy that we can, because I want this team to become an up-tempo team, but what I also want to happen is I want to have a guy who can be my slow it down, half-court offense type of guy. And right now, Eric Bledsoe's that guy. He's very good at creating, getting into the lane. But I'd like to have a guy who can be an outside shooter who can do that same thing. And Danny Granger's that type of player. So, anyway, like I said, let me know what you think of this or that move. And anyway, like I already explained the Mo Williams deal, and I think that's pretty much it. So anyway, let's get into this gameplay. We're down by 3 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mo Williams is coming off the bench, backing up Kyrie Irving, who obviously, there's not much to say about Kyrie Irving. He is one of these studs of this league. He's going to be a great player in the future. I kick it out to Marvin Williams, who's going to hit that through right there. I'm really starting to learn how to use Marvin Williams, which is good. I could see him becoming a good role player, but I do want to try to trade him because he has a player option for next year, and he's likely going to accept it, so I definitely need to get rid of him if I can. I'd like to just really get him for nothing at this point, just an expiring contract. If I can get something out of it, that'd be awesome, but I'm just looking for an expiring contract at this point. So anyway, I'll be likely dealing him in the coming episodes. Gordon Hayward slams it home for 2, and actually, I'll talk about, you know, the Marvin Williams thing. If I clear Marvin Williams' contract, I've already cleared Paul Millsap's. I'm going to have DeAndre's, but even if I get Danny Granger's, I'm still going to be clearing the contracts of Mo Williams / Luke Walton, really, which is the same thing, and Marvin Williams, which means I'm going to have a lot of cap space this offseason. I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to look to see, you know, maybe I can find, you know, there's always the situation where a guy is just off of his rookie deal. He's a young guy, and he's not necessarily a max player, but someone might be crazy enough to offer him a bigger contract in hopes that he can become the player that, you know, maybe they see in him as his potential. I don't know if I worded that very, very good for you guys, very well. That was terrible English, but anyway, similar situation would be like a Nicholas Batum, who the Timberwolves offered him like a crazy, like 4-year, $46 million offer sheet last year. The Trailblazers were hesitant to match it, and they ended up doing so. And, you know, you're going to see the same situation in football this year. The Patriots are trying to get Emmanuel Sanders, and they might kind of offer him a bigger contract, and the Steelers might want to pay him, and they might want to let him go. So I thought about Tyreek Evans as the type of guy I could do this with, but he's already re-signed for next year. So anyway, we kind of got to talk about this gameplay for a sec. Al Jefferson, I did not mean to take the 3 there. I meant to take a long 2. He missed it. That's going to be a reach and foul there. The Cavaliers would take a 6-point lead, and now it's 118-113. That's pretty much going to wrap up this gameplay. So another heartbreaking loss. Sorry I didn't really get to talk about the gameplay this episode. I really wanted to get into some trade deadline talks. I'll talk more about the gameplay in the next episode. And then Monday I'll probably be explaining my trade deadline moves to all the people who think that I'm stupid and I don't know about basketball. Which is fine. You know, everyone's free to their own opinion. I personally think I know a lot about basketball. Basketball and baseball are my 2 main sports. After that, you know, I know some about football. I know next to nothing about hockey, quite frankly. But I know, you know, I'd probably say I know more than a lot of people about football, but certainly basketball and baseball are my two sports. So anyway, we lose that game 118-113. Pretty even game based off of the team stats. And we get into the box score. Eric Bledsoe went off. He had 25 points, 24 assists, and 7 rebounds. We almost had a Scott Skiles alert there. I really like what I saw from him, Derek Favors, and Enes Kanter, which is good because those 3 guys are going to be a part of our core for the future. And you can see the Cavs stats there, and we'll get into the player of the game highlights as well. So anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Your player of the game was, I believe, Kyrie Irving. Yes, sir. I couldn't see it on my screen for a sec. But anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. So I thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy. And so I'm out. Peace.